Hi, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the hero's journey. Yay! So, the hero's journey, if you're into writing, probably, hopefully as well, you're into reading it. So you've probably noticed, if you've been paying attention, of course, that there have been think about the biggest stories out there. Think about, I don't know, Lord of the Rings, think about Harry Potter, Star Wars, The Lion King. All of these stories, they have, pretty much it's the same story, right? Yesterday we were talking about plot and story. The plot of each of these stories is a little bit similar. If you think about it, in all of them, we have an orphan child, in all of those cases, a boy. He has a magical object, either it's a wand or a lightsaber, whatever it is, or the ring in Frodo's case. And all of them have elder mentors. So we have Gandalf, Dumbledore, Obi-Wan Kenobi. So yeah, basically they have their elder mentors, and then they go through different trials and tribulations until they reach their end goal, which is the end of the plot. And hope, in all of their cases, they actually get to basically reinvent themselves. So this is okay, I want to talk about the hero's journey, and I kind of went over it very briefly, but yeah, I just wanted to share a little bit more about what exactly is the hero's journey, which is it's a concept that Joseph Campbell came up with. He basically re-examined hundreds of myths, and he came up with basically he retold them, saying how they're actually one and the same story. And this is, by the way, this is also very interesting in terms of writing in general, because if you're writing something, in most cases, most people want something similar but slightly different to what they're used to. So, for example, I don't know, the other day I was rewatching Lord of the Rings, and I was again reminded. I remember when I read the book, in the first place, I think I was 12, 13, something like that, and I was thinking, oh my God, who copied whom? Who copied, why is Harry Potter so similar to Lord of the Rings? You have Sauron, who in the book, I think in the movies they don't emphasize on this as much, but in the books he's referred to as he who must not be named. Ooh, does that remind you of anything? So yeah, it was just very interesting. You have the Dark Lord, Voldemort, and Sauron as well, and just all of these similarities, they were just piling up and piling up. And yeah, when I was a kid, I was wondering, okay, so this is very similar. It was nice, right? It was familiar, so that was good for me. I don't know how good that is in general, but as they say, pretty much during Shakespeare's time, any story that could have been told was already told, right? We are not reinventing the wheel here. So yay, good news for us writers. And we don't have that much pressure to reinvent the wheel, because it's already been invented, so there's nothing much we can do. And yeah, most successful stories, even what else, the Hunger Games, they also follow a very similar path, not very similar, the exact same path, because yeah, basically the hero's journey is the same for any hero, right? And that would be, okay, so let's start with it. If you imagine the hero's journey as a circle, right? It goes in a circle. It starts and ends here at the top. It starts in the ordinary world. So you have your hero who is doing their everyday life, going through their everyday life. So for example, I don't know, for Harry, it's just managing with the Dursleys and dealing with them and all of their abuse and whatnot. So this is just, the hero is not happy with his life at that particular moment in time. It could be that he's lacking something, yeah, again, in Harry's case, obviously, he wants friends, he wants someone to love him. He doesn't have those things. So this is the ordinary world for him. And then number two, so if we go in the circle, number two here, I don't know if that's maybe I should be doing this, but in any case. So number 2 is the call to action. So for example, you have, in Harry's case, you have the Hogwarts letter. In Lord of the Rings, you have, the ring that needs to be taken to a certain point, to a certain place. So yeah, I mean, this is just something that prompts the hero to leave the ordinary world behind and to venture into this new world where something unknown is waiting for him. And I remember, which brings me to point number 3, which is the the refusal of the call. Number 3. That's 2, that's 3. Good for me to remember. So I remember, number 3 is the refusal of the call. And I remember when I was reading Harry Potter, I don't think there was a particular moment where Harry was hesitating. Maybe I could be wrong. I don't remember that, but I do remember myself putting myself in his shoes and thinking, oh my God, I was 11 at the time, so keep that in mind. But yeah, I was super excited about it, and I was thinking, oh my God, if this happens to me, would I do that? Would I leave my family? Would I leave my current friends for something like this? So I don't know if Harry was, going through this, but I was going through it. But yeah, in most cases, I mean, if it's something, if you're faced with an unfamiliar situation, you might hesitate to jump right in. Probably you would need to, consider it for a moment, take a beat and think about it. So this is number 3. Number 4 is meeting the mentor, which is when any hero, they need guidance. Let's face it, because the hero, he or she doesn't know what they need to accomplish still. So, and they do need some guidance. Now even the manga, Tokyo Ghoul comes to mind, in the anime, but mostly the manga. If you've ever watched Tokyo Ghoul, you know how Kaneki goes to goes to this cafe where he learns what it is to be a ghoul, and he has an elder mentor. Anyway, completely unrelated, but going back to Harry Potter, or Lord of the Rings, we have Gandalf. We have, in the case of Harry, in the very beginning, we kind of sort of have Hagrid as the mentor, and then we have McGonagall, we have we have Dumbledore. So obviously those are our mentors. And then basically when all of this is set in place and in motion, those elements usually are present, and then the real story can begin. So this is when the hero crosses the threshold, which is point number 5. The hero is ready to begin his quest in this new world, and then we go through stage number 6, which is the trials and tribulations that are happening. The hero may go through a lot of fights. By the way, these should happen incrementally. This is probably for another, a topic for another video, but basically the challenges that the hero faces should increase incrementally as the story progresses. So you cannot, throw the biggest challenge in the very beginning. You should start with something small. Just, maybe he overcomes, fighting a troll, let's say, like Harry Potter, like in the first Harry Potter book, which is, that on its own probably is a big challenge, but in the book it was presented as something that could have been done by first-year students. So, and then fighting Lord Voldemort it was put at the very end of the book. So just something maybe to keep in mind. But basically, throughout this journey, which probably takes the biggest part of the whole story, the hero finds out who his allies are, finds out who his enemies are. So who he can rely on, the alliances that he's making. So the next point is so point number 7. By the way, I have a cheat sheet. I don't know, probably you can tell because I've been staring at it. But number 7 is approaching the inmost cave, which means that the hero has to battle his own inner demons. Again, throughout Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, we all have these sort of, basically, yeah, our inner demons. Are we good enough to do these things? And in most cases, most heroes go through these things, as I assume most people would as well, but just thinking, am I good enough to do this? Am I capable enough to do this? And we see this time and time again. In case you've read Harry Potter, probably I should have said spoilers for Harry Potter, but in any case, hopefully you've read it, or at least you know the basic story. But yes, basically throughout each book there are all of these doubts that I think any normal human being would have. So then we reach almost the culmination of the story. Actually, it is the culmination of the story, which is number 8, the ordeal that the main character has to go through. And that is, for example, in Harry Potter, that is the fight with Voldemort at the very end of the first book, or the fight with Voldemort at the very end of the 7th book. Also, yeah, not that different. But yeah, so he has to go through this ordeal where he is physically tested or mentally tested in any kind of way, where he kind of, I mean, maybe he dies, maybe he literally dies. Like, again, taking Harry Potter as an example, at the end of the 7th book, I mean, you know, he doesn't exactly die, but technically does, you know, when Voldemort, okay, going back again, spoilers for Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, but when Voldemort aims his killing curse at Harry, and then Harry falls to the ground, and then he goes to King's Cross where he talks to Dumbledore, and there technically he does die, right? That is what, you know, the train station is supposed to represent. So yeah, so that happens. The hero dies or almost dies, and then all of a sudden, you know, he's reborn. He is basically renewed, with a new belief in himself as well, and then he goes to you know, to the next step, which is the reward that he would receive. Yeah, basically it could be a magic sword, it can be, you know, whatever reward he was hoping to get, he gets it. And yeah, I mean, basically that's just the general flow of things. And after that, you know, the hero needs to go back. So this is, to be honest, I kind of, you know, was confused about this particular part, but this is, I mean, again, if you look at Harry Potter, he dies, and then he goes through, you know, he dies in the Forbidden Forest, and then he has to go back, right? So the trials and tribulations are not over, but the biggest, even the biggest battle is not over. But the thing that makes the battle so big, so the Horcruxes, they're all gone, basically, or almost all gone. I think Nagini, not sure how you pronounce that, but the snake was still alive at that point. But the thing is, the Horcrux that was within Harry was already gone, so, which is, you know, half the battle. So yeah, basically he needs to go, okay, yeah, my notes don't make all that much sense, but anyway, so after yeah, after he has received this reward, which is, you know, he's cleansed his soul in a way, he goes back, he needs to face the final battle, which is the yeah, in a way, let's call it resurrection or atonement, or in case there are any more monsters, you know, the hero would manage to somehow subdue them, or he would manage to escape them in a way, and then he would go back to his regular world. But the biggest thing of all, he would be reinvented, which is, you know, he returns to the world with the magical elixir that's supposed to fix whatever issues he has in the first place. And that's it. Yeah, hopefully hopefully all of this made sense. That is the hero's journey. If you're ever in doubt, just think about your favorite stories. You can try putting them in this framework, and let me know in the comments if the framework worked for your favorite stories. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.